Just like Leo Santa Cruz earlier in the evening, Terence Crawford handled his business by defeating and winning a TKO over Hank Lundy. Hank Lundy, he and Crawford were exchanging all types of trash talk and barbs back and forth leading up to the fight. Terence Crawford indicated that they'd been going back and forth over Twitter for over a year. So it was a little bit of a little bit of nastiness in the fight. I thought some of it might have been manufactured, but maybe it wasn't, because after Crawford secured the stoppage, he leaned over the shoulder of the referee to taunt Hank Lundy as Lundy was laying on the canvas. Even once the fight was stopped, because Lundy got up after the initial knockdown, and after it was stopped, he leaned over the referee's shoulder again to taunt Lundy as he was being held to being protected from any further damage. The fight didn't really give Crawford much of any issues at all, and I didn't expect it to. Crawford is, I believe, an elite level fighter. Hank Lundy's a tough guy, and there's a difference between a tough guy and a really good fighter, and you saw the difference on Saturday night. Crawford had too much length, too much speed. His punching was too accurate. Overall, his boxing acumen was on a different level than Hank Lundy. So, I think Lundy might have won one round, in my opinion, and that was kind of tight, and that was the second round. But he never hurt Crawford, never put him in any type of peril. Crawford switched back and forth between orthodox and southpaw, as he normally does, just about at will without having any issues. So immediately, there really is not a lot of analysis to give in this fight, because it went as most would have expected. I think the talk now has to go towards what's next for Crawford. He wants Manny Pacquiao. If Pacquiao beats Timothy Bradley on April 9th, which I think he may not, I'm leaning towards I'm probably going to pick Bradley, but we don't know. But I'm sure Crawford and Timothy Bradley are very close. But I'm quite sure he's hoping that Pacquiao wins that fight, because that's a humongous payday and a humongous opportunity for Crawford to then take his name to the next level. So I'm sure he's hoping for that to happen. There was some mention on the HBO broadcast that even if Bradley won, Crawford, because he and Bradley are so close, they probably would not fight. We have to see what the dollars would look like for that fight, but I don't think the dollars would be that big yet, because Crawford's not a household name at all. In order to know Crawford, you got to know boxing. You got to be somewhat of a fan to know boxing, and that's how you always determine who's a household name, who's a legitimate superstar. And when I say superstar, I'm not speaking of talent. I'm speaking of notoriety. The question you always ask yourself is, do people outside of legitimate boxing fans know who this guy is? If the answer is no, then he's not a superstar. So Terence Crawford is not there yet. So he needs a big win over someone of some stature. And when I say stature, I'm talking only about name recognition. He needs a win over someone of some stature to get to that point, and that's where he would like to go. That's where Top Rank Boxing would like him to go. That's where the HBO would like him to go, because he is absolutely one of the brightest stars in the game, and he's one of the guys HBO was cinching their wagons to moving forward. So I don't know if he's going to get Pacquiao, because we don't even know if Pacquiao is going to continue to fight beyond the Timothy Bradley fight. It's being billed as his last fight, but we all know how that goes in boxing. Max Kellerman said after the fight on Saturday night that he thought that it would be more apt that Crawford would be taking on Ruslan Provodnikov, which I can absolutely see that fight taking place. It's an interesting fight because from a style standpoint and from a skill standpoint, Crawford is head and shoulders above Provodnikov. But Provodnikov brings an element into the ring whenever he fights that is dangerous, because his chin is seemingly impenetrable. It's like the dude has a jawline made of animanium. He's crazy with the chin. And while he's extremely slow and plodding, he has excellent stamina and he has humongous punching power. So then the question then becomes for Crawford, do you try to become the first guy to ever stop Ruslan Provodnikov? Or do you box and move like Chris Algieri did when he beat Provodnikov to just basically get the win? It's a dangerous fight because Provodnikov doesn't have a humongous name either. So this is a fight that, if you really want to know the truth, the risk doesn't really match the reward for Crawford, unless it's being billed as beat Provodnikov and get Pacquiao. Then maybe it does. But I don't know. So we'll see what happens if Crawford gets that fight, or what happens from this. Victor Postol is another one, but Crawford has mentioned in Ring Magazine that that's a fight that really doesn't interest him because it doesn't take him to his career to the next level. Postol is a very good fighter, so we don't know. But in any case, Terence Crawford does what he's supposed to do against Hank Lundy on Saturday night in New York, stopping him in the 5th round. This, my friends, is officially the final recap on this channel. Expect the same type of deal, maybe even a little bit better moving forward on the All Sports channel. If you have not subscribed as of yet, check the description. The link is in the description. Starting, I can't even, off the top of my head, I can't even think of it. I do know. Starting on March 5th, which is UFC 196. I think that's the first full sports recap I'm going to have. I don't think there's any other fights. Yeah, you know what? There's some boxing. There's some boxing that weekend as well. So that weekend coming up is going to be the first of the real sports recap. So I hope you guys are tuning in for those on the new channel. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.